The 2014 Aquascape Foundation trip was to Ghana, West Africa. We landed in Accra and we drove about 2 to 3 hours outside of Accra into the African bush near the Volta River.
The foundation is needed in many locations. The water crisis shortage is worldwide, and the foundation doesn't go just to Africa, it goes to many countries.
I work directly with our partners, the IN Network. They work in 36 countries globally. Every year when they go to their annual meetings, they ask and try to find out where the biggest need is and see if it's a good fit for rainwater harvesting.
The system that we use down there is something that we incorporate in pondless waterfalls with our decorative water features. So for me to be able to take technology like that we're using every day to build something that's decorative and turn it into something that's life-saving, where they're going to capture water off the roof of a building and then utilize it for drinking and for their everyday use. That for me was the biggest payback.
This is the 5th Aquascape Foundation trip that we've done, and I felt like this trip really had the biggest need that we've ever seen.
I've gotten a chance to know Carla Wittstock. She's the president and founder of the Aquascape Foundation, and being involved with her on these projects, I mean, she has such a passion for what this whole thing is about, bringing water to people that just don't have it. I mean, you couldn't give somebody a better gift than clean drinking water.
The schools that were there were actually fairly new, and it was a great location to collect water off those roofs to run into our systems.
With the time frame on these projects, we're only there for 4 to 5 days, so we couldn't be burdened with having to actually dig the hole, so having the excavation done was a huge part of it. So we can get right to work with just getting the final leveling done. Now we can get our underlayment in and the liner goes in, and then we're putting matrix in, along with whatever pump vaults we're going to install.
Once we got the system in place, you know, we really needed to work on getting the water from these buildings into the rainwater harvest system.
There's other ancillary work like digging trenches for leaders. We're installing first flush filters. We're getting the basin in place.
Because this village had no electricity nearby at all, we needed to utilize solar power to pump that out of the system, go through a UV light and some micron filters, and then from there it got pumped into another tank where the villagers were able to utilize that water as nice, clean, fresh drinking water.
The project was challenging. We dealt with a little bit of rain during it, but about the 3rd day in, the community really got involved. All the kids from school came out and they were bringing pots and pans and whatever they could find, carrying dirt or sand into the hole.
There were women there who were pregnant, babies on their back, with 5-gallon pails of soil on their head, walking back and forth and helping us fill the hole, because they knew that this system was going to help their children and help their village survive and thrive.
That was the coolest thing to see, because it just changed the whole dynamic of the job. It wasn't on just us to make this happen. They were all just owning this thing and wanted to see it happen.
On the 4th day, we were able to finish the project, and we had some time to go actually see the village that was in behind the school, and you really didn't get to see it. And what I saw there was prehistoric. There was mud huts, thatch roofs. You always keep thinking they're just going to pull back the curtains and say, you know, no, we're just kidding. It's, you know, it's one of those kind of surreal situations.
Going into it, I was expecting to see some hardship, but not until we actually saw the water source where they were getting their water from is when it was like, this is such an important deal.
The only water that they have is what floods behind their community in the field during the rainy season.
It was pretty much just a marshy bog that they were pulling water out of the muddy puddles with.
Cow pasture, cow patties right there on the field. There's, you know, hoof prints with a little bit of water in them, and this is where their water source was.
I mean, you would never put this water in your mouth, and I can't understand how they have been living like this all this time.
It's so hard to describe, and it quite honestly didn't even hit me until I got home as to how much good we did for this village and how desperately they needed it.
The people out in these remote communities are so appreciative, and they kept saying over and over again, we have nothing to give you.
The next day they had a celebration for us, the Aquascape Foundation, and for celebrating the water that was going to hopefully come to this village because of the system that we have now installed.
They made a very big deal out of putting the ribbon around the system and giving us scissors so we could cut the ribbon, and tried to make it as special as they could.
I can't say enough about how great the people were that I was working with and how hard they worked in the scorching heat, and the mission was to get the job done, and everybody was on the same mission, and we really did work together as a team to get that project done.
Our volunteers were really dedicated, and I can't thank enough our network of customers that have come forward and helped us not only financially, but also sacrificing their time and their businesses to leave the country and join us on these trips.
Certainly, you know, the need is out there. It's a drop in the bucket, so to speak, of what we've done and how much more need there is out there.
Now that we've done 5 trips, we have a lot of volunteers who say, I will never miss another one. And I think there's a reason for that. I think the trips are very fulfilling, and when you leave, you have a sense of purpose. And I think using your skills and your knowledge of water features and bringing it to a third world country and sustaining life in a community that does not have access to clean water is an incredible opportunity.
The 2014 Ghana trip was amazing. The experiences that I brought home, was able to share with my family and friends, is something that I'll have for a lifetime, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And if anybody has aspirations for going on one of these trips, I would say jump on board and go for it. I mean, you're not going to be sorry. The experiences that you're going to have and be able to talk about for the rest of your life, it's going to touch a lot more people than you ever know.